Hey, what's going on everyone, and welcome to a brand new speculation and discussion video where we'll be talking about basically the future of this game and its DLCs in general. We're going to be kind of discussing the rumors of DLCs, the expansions we should and shouldn't expect, and what I personally expect to see them do with the future of this game as time goes on. Now, to make the video easier, I've basically categorized everything. We're going to go through it one by one, just to make things, as I said, easier. And yeah, I don't think I should talk anymore. Let's just go ahead and begin this DLC speculation and discussion video. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and kick off things with category 1 being rumors. So these are these small DLC ideas I've been hearing around the community that people say there's evidence for, and that, well, they're trying to back up, that we should expect. So anyway, the one that I've been hearing is that there is a rumored some kind of DLC to be out this month. Now, there is a little bit of actual evidence for this. Apparently, it was found in the beta files during the time of the beta that, we'll be getting a small DLC this month. And honestly, I don't believe that. Mainly because this month is kind of clearly dedicated to Jurassic World Evolution due to the brand new Jurassic Park DLC, which I'll let you know right now I am going to do some videos on, so that'll be a bit of a new demographic for my channel. Looking forward to that on Tuesday. But anyway, yeah, this month is basically Frontier dedicating to Jurassic World Evolution, which makes total sense, It'd be kind of odd to get both a DLC from Jurassic World Evolution and Planet Zoo this month. I think it's a bit much. But perhaps at the last moment they just, to fit with what I just said, perhaps they pushed the DLC to a later date. Now, I have absolutely no doubts that right now Frontier is working on a future DLC or some kind of major update, or both, and I suspect we will be getting something of the sort by the end of February. Hopefully January. I think there's a really good chance of us getting a DLC in January to kind of kick off 2020. Frontier just gives us the very first DLC. I would love to see that. So that's basically the rumors, that there's a DLC this month, and the only evidence is it's been it's been found through the files, and we'll have to wait and see. Now, I'm going to go ahead and bring in category 2 right now to back up some of the ideas behind this DLC, and that would be animal evidence. There is a lot of animal decorations in the game depicting animals that we don't actually have, which is quite unfortunate, because things like the jaguar, which we have lots of decorations of, well, not lots, but we have decorations of them, and it breaks my heart to not have it in the game. So those kind of things are great hints to what we could expect in a DLC that they may be working on. Now, some of these animals that they're missing, I'm sure, are at the top of their bucket list to be included in a DLC eventually. I mean, how could they never give us a jaguar? I fully expect it to make the game. And for all we know, maybe this supposed DLC to come out this month might actually just kind of fill in the gap for some of these animals. One being particularly the polar bear. Now, some people have told me on my Discord that apparently there were going to be polar bear decorations in the game, but they were cut out at the last moment, and perhaps it's something they were saving for a DLC this month, once again, I don't believe we will, but not impossible. This would be a great time of the year to get a polar bear. So yeah, perhaps a winter-esque DLC this month or next month, or maybe even in February, containing animals like polar bear and reindeer, and if not that, then I imagine it's something cool. I wouldn't expect it to be a super large DLC as their first DLC. Something like a cool animal pack or just something nice and simple like that would be truly great. I don't expect anything new like new missions on the scenario, which I imagine that eventually they'll add in through DLC. But anyway, though, and as far as referenced animals and left out animals, there are some that just have got to be at the top of their list, and that should give us a pretty good idea of what to expect from Frontier eventually. Of course, I'm talking to you, Frontier. I'm getting really close here. Give me my damn jaguar. Okay, sorry. Anyway, let's just go ahead and move on to the next category. Alright, so diving into category 3, which happens to be the more controversial category, I'm going to be talking about DLCs that people want that I do not expect to get. Now, before we begin this controversy, I would like to make it pretty clear that this is just my opinion. I will hopefully provide the most logical evidence, because I've done this kind of stuff in the past and not everyone has understood me, so I'll try my absolute best to explain what I mean. Alright, so let's go ahead and start with the easier one to destroy with logic. I'm talking about Extinct Animals DLC. Now, the only reason why people are actually asking for a DLC like this is simply because Zoo Tycoon 2 had it. And now, if you don't know, Zoo Tycoon 2 is the game that everyone wanted Planet Zoo to be, right? That's the game that it had to become, because that's basically its idol. And Frontier knows it. They know how much the world loves Zoo Tycoon 2. It was the best zoo simulation game in the world, and in some people's opinion, it still is. But, of course, I now prefer Planet Zoo. Well, anyway, though, they did have an Extinct Animals pack, and you know what? It fit pretty well with the game. But now people are expecting Frontier to do the exact same thing with this brand new, modern-day zoo simulation game. And honestly, I do not understand why people are expecting this, because first off, Planet Zoo is supposed to be realistic, right? So having extinct animals, that's already past the realism. But considering the fact that it is, a game, looking at it, there are like 3 categories of extinct animals in my opinion. Starting off with dinosaurs, do not at all ever expect dinosaurs to make it into Planet Zoo. That is like the most ridiculous thing to ever do, and if they ever go that way, then I will not see Frontier as a mature game company, because it's just ridiculous. Can you imagine building a Tyrannosaurus Rex paddock next to the lime? Do you get that reference? Anyway, though, seriously, dinosaurs are a no-no. I don't ever expect them, and I honestly don't want them to. Why would they even do that when they already have a dinosaur park simulation game, right? So, yeah, dinosaurs are far off the list, and this is only if they were to do an Extinct Animals DLC. Now, talking about, like, Cenozoic animals, right? This is when animals closer to today were primitive, and more primitive than ever, and that's where things like mammoths and saber-toothed tigers and megaloceros and injurotheriums and all that stuff. Again, I do not expect. Now, of course, it's a little bit more down to earth, but, well, down to the game's earth. Anyway, no, it's not going to happen. Again, just like the dinosaurs, it's far off, and it's, once again, they have an extinct park simulation game. And even though they don't have Cenozoics, wouldn't it be better to be in that game than a modern zoo game? Okay, so then looking at the last category, the category that has the greatest chance is the modern extinct animals, like the dodo bird, or the Tasmanian tiger, or the passenger pigeon. All these animals that have gone extinct recently, and I say recently, even though it was a couple hundred years ago, that's quite recent if you think about it, when the Earth has been around for billions of years. But anyway, though, we have animals that went extinct in recent years, and people have actually been trying to bring back alive. Now, that is not super far off, and it would be a cool thing to see one day, like, they get put in the ability in the game to actually clone extinct animals that have gone extinct because of humans in recent times, like the Tasmanian tiger, and you could actually do, like, so much purposeful conservation work and try and actually bring this species back into the real world. Something like that would be really cool and not super far off, but again, that one really just comes down to Frontier's decision. Are they going to have some form of extinct animal in the game? Now, again, I do not expect this, and I'm saying this again, not impossible as far as that last category goes. But anyway, though, that's what I have to say about extinct animals. I seriously just, no, I don't expect it at all. Again, sorry, I repeat things a lot, I just realized. Anyway, though, I'm going to step away from that category now, and let's go ahead and talk about Marine DLC. This is where the controversy really, really starts. I do not think we will ever be getting a Marine DLC in Planet Zoo. And, I know people are going to go down the comments and say, my logic makes no sense, but I pretty much dare you. Let's wait at least 2 years, and we'll see if they've ever done anything like that. Now, it is the equivalent of the pterosaurs and marine animals being asked for Jurassic Evolution. It's the equivalent of a zoo DLC and a water park DLC for Planet Coaster. And you know what? For Jurassic Evolution, they just got pterosaurs, right? It took it took a while, but it's happening, and it's still super limited. But this is, if they ever to do something like that with Planet Zoo, like give us a limited way of creating aquatic tanks, it just doesn't fit, because this game is not a limited game. You can pretty much do whatever. So getting a super limited, very like simple baby marine DLC is just so, why? Like, I don't want to see it. If we're gonna get any form of marine DLC kind of thing, or not, I would prefer not to be a DLC. I think there's a much greater chance of us actually getting an aquatic, like a planet aquarium, like an actual aquarium simulation game, than ever actually getting it as a simple add-on to Planet Zoo. It is quite complex. I don't know why people don't realize this, but aquariums are just not simple things like zoos. Like, zoos can be quite simple and complex, but aquariums are really complex. Most of the time, aquariums are almost entirely indoors. We have outdoor areas, of course, but the way aquariums are set up are quite different from zoos. They really are. Is the concept the same? Yes, they both contain captured animals. Or not, okay, I made that sound bad. They contain and care for captive animals. That's the same. But other than that, though, it goes completely different. I mean, aquariums are tightly compact with major filtration, way more controversy as well, right? So if they were to ever do that, people would be really upset if they didn't include the killer whale, and people would be also very, very upset if they did. So it's just, why would they ever... Thinking back at Planet Zoo's history, thinking back at Frontier's history, they try their best to avoid stuff like that. You know, it took them long enough to get pterosaurs and Jurassic Evolution, and it's really limited. Still to this day, we are asking for a water park DLC for Planet Coaster. And actually, if you think about it, it's the exact equivalent of the aquarium, right? Just like the concept of an aquarium to Planet Zoo is not super far off, the concept of a water park to a theme park is also not super far off, but still, Frontier's not going to take the time to do that, and so why would they now do it with something even more complex? I'm just saying, guys, it's so not going to happen. I mean, then again, maybe, just perhaps, they'll give us a very limited, simple version of some kind of aquatic life in the game, like it is with the tanks that we have in the game, but why? That's just absolutely just... It so would be better as an actual aquarium simulation game. I would full on put money for that, and I would love to see something like that, and have it be a simple, simplified, stupid little marine DLC. Okay, I'm getting angry. I don't know why. I apologize, but the logic makes sense to me. We could build outdoor simple exhibits like a dolphin exhibit, and you can actually fill up tanks with water in Planet Zoo. But how could that cater to actual, like, marine animals? I just don't see that. There's so much. It would just, if they want to do it right, if they absolutely want to do it right, it would not work as an add-on DLC unless they were willing to dedicate a whole year of work just to one DLC just for Planet Zoo, just so people would be happy, and all because it would fill in the nostalgia of Zoo Tycoon 2. They're not going to do that. They're taking things in their own hands, and for like the who knows what number of time I've said this, it's great. It has a great chance at becoming its own form of game. Anyway, I think I've just rambled on for like a minute or two now. Sorry for that. Hopefully I made some kind of a point. I know you all are gonna go in the comments and be like, your logic doesn't make sense and whatnot. You know, it's the same thing I'm gonna get when I talked about how penguins don't have a good chance coming into the game, and bada bing, bada boom, I was right. So once again, just wait a couple years, and we'll see who's right. Anyway, though, I've talked long enough about these two categories. Let's move on to the next one. Alright, so as far as category 4, and I'll promise to not talk as long, at least I'll try, I'm going to be talking about DLCs that people still want, that I do think we are going to get. So basically the complete opposite. We're almost. Remember, these are DLCs I think everyone wants and expects, including myself. So anyway, I think the biggest one would have to be Aviary. That is an Aviary DLC is something that, just like the pterosaurs for Jurassic Evolution, is not impossible in some kind of way. It would be limited, but I think it would be worth it. I would love some form of way to actually keep free flying birds in Planet Zoo. I think everyone would. You know, it's just such a zoo thing, and it's a shame we don't have it, but I fully understand. Anyway, though, as far as concepts and ideas of how they could do this, I imagine something like, do you know in the game where you can actually create, like, in the terrain area, you have shapes that will completely, like, make an actual form of, what's the word I'm looking, like an actual form of terrain. Like, you can create, like, a giant rectangle of terrain, or a giant sphere, or I believe it was a pyramid, that kind of stuff. You can imagine do something like that, but with basically, like, glass or an enclosed, or even if it's like invisible fencing, it would like form an area, whether it be like a giant rectangle box or square or anything like that, and then you can build around it, and within that enclosed area is where the birds are going to stay, right? in my mind it makes sense. That might not make sense at all, but I'm envisioning it, and it looks kind of cool. But oh well, I guess we'll just have to wait and see. It's something not super far off. It might take them a long time to do it, and it still might not ever come in, but I'd say there's a greater chance of getting this than, say, a Marine DLC. Anyway, though, I'm going to also quickly mention some ones that I would personally, just in general, like to see, that I think people have also talked about that they would like to see. Something like a petting zoo expansion kind of DLC. That's like such an easy expansion. Because I believe it would require some form of expansion. You know, I mean, the game's catering animals that you don't want to escape. But if they gave us like petting zoo barriers just to build like an actual petting zoo in a zoo as like a simple extra add-on, would be not impossible at all. I think that'd actually be a really good idea. And along with that DLC, we get a variety of farm animals and such. And that's something that zoos have that it could quite easily make it to the game, and I have high hopes for as well. Another DLC that I think, and people have been talking about, that I'd like to see, and is certainly not impossible, as kind of an expansion, having the ability to create hybrid animals. Now that sounds kind of bizarre, right? Like Jurassic Evolution. But no, I mean, like, there are literal hybrid animals in zoos sometimes. Animals like the liger, or the dolphin, which is like a whale and a dolphin or something like that. And there's more, they don't instantly roll off the tongue. But anyway, yeah, like actually being able to create a liger in the game, like not where you could just combine any animal, but simply there's hybrid animals, just like Jurassic Evolution. There's hybrid animals in the game, and you have to get it by simply infusing the DNA of two animals that make that animal. Something like that would be a really cool thing, like a science-y, bizarre DLC that is actually done in real life, and would, I'm sure, be somewhat of a controversial topic. But hey, you know what? If I was in charge, I would go for it. Anyway, though, there's not really many other DLCs to talk about in a expansion kind of way. But yeah, aviaries, petting zoos, and hybrid animals, I don't think are too far off the realm. Anyway, though, let's start wrapping up this video, and let's talk about the last category. Alright, so as far as this last category goes, I'm going to try and be a bit more calm here, as I've basically already expressed my fetishness for explaining why a Marine DLC would not come out. For this last category, would like to talk about the DLC, what I expect their DLCs to basically be. Regular, like, we've been talking about expansion DLCs for a while now. I'm gonna just straightforward talk about what I personally expect to see from them throughout next year and the years to come. I'd like to talk about sizes first, actually. Specifically, one type of DLC I imagine we will fully be getting is things like packs. Now, this is going back to Jurassic Evolution, because that's when their pack DLCs kind of started. Right, packs are, I imagine, just like with Jurassic Evolution, will be a simple, small DLC with just a couple of animals based off one particular theme, worth not a whole lot of money, enough to feel like, oh, I need to get them. Because, you know, the animals are the main selling points of the game, and they're going to be in every single DLC, and they're going to profit off of that. And so, a simple, lovely little animal pack is something to fill in the gaps of time when we don't have DLC, is, you know, just absolutely something they're going to go with, I have no doubt, unless they really take it all the way with Planet Coaster, where it's just one giant ass DLC every once in a while. But I really, really feel like their DLCs are going to be kind of a collaboration, well, not just the DLCs, but their time schedule and whatnot, and just that variety and kind of the ratio between big DLC, the small DLC, is going to be all like one big collaboration between Jurassic World Evolution and Planet Coaster, right? We're going to have these small animal packs like Jurassic Evolution, because just like with Jurassic Evolution, the creatures are the selling point, and just like with Planet Coaster, there's going to be big DLCs, which I'll talk about right now, basically, that are going to contain, are going to be based off a bigger theme, are going to contain, you know, that kind of theme and stuff like that. Like, for example, we also expect there's going to be an Australian DLC, and I fully expect it too. That would be a perfect large DLC to start with, and it's not like it has to be a super large DLC, just a good-sized DLC, primarily structurally wise, based off Planet Coaster. We get a whole new building theme, you know, just lots of decorations, stuff like that. We don't even have to get new story mode, just simply that themed that theme actually coming into the game, along with a great variety of animals, and that is what I see large DLCs to be like. And then eventually, if we get things like expansion DLCs, that is where the story mode should come in. New stories and whatnot for scenario mode, you know, all that. That's kind of what I expect. We're going to kind of go back and forth between small DLCs and large ones with new themes and animals. And, I mean, altogether, every DLC, I'm very certain, is going to have an animal, or it just wouldn't sell. As far as, like, how many per year, I imagine... So let's just say we do get a pack in January. I imagine a couple months later, probably around like the beginning of summer, we'll get the Australian DLC, and then it'll kind of be vice versa. Maybe they'll do 2 packs in a row, like Jurassic World Evolution has done, or maybe eventually 2 large DLCs in a row. You know, things like that. It should be nice and organized. It should really feel like just one big ass collaboration of the way Jurassic World Evolution's DLCs are structured and the way Planet Coaster's. Sorry, my voice cracked there. The way Planet Coaster's DLCs are structured. So anyway, though, I think I've just full-on rambled on now for the longest time. I just want to thank you all so much for watching and listening to this video. You know, I've just spent the last 5 to 10 minutes with basically practically explaining and raging my feelings about the future of this game into an inanimate object. And if you did participate in all of that, then, well, thank you, because this video is by no means perfect. None of my videos are, but hey, if you do enjoy them, then thank you. And if you're new to all of this, please remember the like button and subscribe. My Discord is in the description below. I'm always looking for new members. I'm also about to start a whole brand new series sometime this week. We're going to be actually showcasing workshop items. I'll get to that eventually. But anyway, though, for the last time, thank you all so much for watching this video, and stay tuned for more Planet Zoo content.